Good afternoon, ladies, and thank you for joining us in Far Above Rubies today. I'm so glad that each of you are here, and I'm excited that we're getting ready to wrap up the book of Romans, and we'll be heading into a whole other focus for the month of December, and you're going to love it. I'm going to share it with you tomorrow. So today we're going to focus on the last half of Romans chapter 15, verses 14 through 33, and that's your reading challenge for today. Romans chapter 15, verses 14 through 33. Now, Paul talks about a kind of interesting topic here. He's talking about his travels. He's talking about where he's been starting churches and spreading the gospel, and where he's going. And he talks about the relationship to and with those that he's writing to. And so I want to talk to you for just a moment on this topic of givers and goers. And I want to ask you which one you are, and don't forget to play your part, because every one of us is either a giver or a goer, or you can be both. So Paul is talking to the church at Rome. I said that yesterday. The church at Rome, and he's talking to them about his travels. And he very openly tells them, "And when I come to you, you can provide for my journey." It was just an assumed thing in Paul's day that those who were going out and spreading the gospel, who were leaving their homes and their families, their relatives, and spreading the gospel, that the church would provide for this journey. Not just provide for them to come and speak and pay them and pay for their food, but that the church would provide even their most basic needs along the way, because they are sacrificing all that they know in order to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. And it's interesting that in our day, it's not really always looked at that way. Now, sometimes we can have that kind of thought process towards our foreign missionaries, and they deserve it 100,000%, but we often forget our North American missionaries. And I know that's a subject that's near and dear to my heart, as that's what my husband and I do, okay? And a North American missionary is very similar to what a foreign missionary is and does. And for those of you who maybe aren't familiar, I'll share a little bit about what that means. So for a North American missionary, a husband and wife usually feel a call to an area that needs a church, that either has no church, or for the size of a large city or metro area, does not have nearly enough churches to reach the valley. Our valley is what I'm using as an example. And they feel a call to go and plant a church, and that means to start a church from scratch. They show up with nothing, and they find a way to dig out a church in that area. The same as a foreign missionary goes to a country that is in need of a new church, a new plant, and they find a way to carve out a work in their area. Now, I find it interesting that because North American missionaries are not viewed the same way as foreign missionaries, that almost all North American missionaries are bivocational, meaning that they work a full-time, sometimes more than full-time job to make ends meet while trying to pastor a church full-time as well. And that's a hard road. It's a difficult road. When my husband and I first moved here and we were first getting things going, trying to find our own feet financially and trying to plant a church here, there were times where I was working 2 jobs and my husband was working 2+ jobs, including pastoring. And we need to focus in this Christmas season on not just giving gifts under the Christmas tree, but making sure that we are givers to the kingdom as well. Don't let your focus be so much about what's under the Christmas tree for your family or for your friends or your extended family that you forget or feel like, well, maybe this month I don't need to give into the kingdom. Whether it's to your local church to bless your pastor and wife and the programs in your own church, whether it's to a foreign missionary overseas who is alone and missing the dressings and trimmings of this season, whether it's to a North American missionary who has left what they know and gone to a new place where they probably don't know anyone to start a brand new church. Wherever you find to give into the kingdom this season, be a giver. Be a giver. Another way that Paul talks about giving in this chapter is to be praying for him. He says, you can be in prayer for me to God to bless my journey. And we should all be doing that. We should all be praying for those who are spreading the gospel across the world and have devoted their lives and their families to that cause. But we should not say, I've said my prayers, and that's all I need to do. If we can go to Starbucks, we can give to the kingdom. If we have more Christmas under the tree than we really need, we can give to the kingdom. If we can go out to eat Christmas dinners with our families at restaurants, we can give to the kingdom. If we can participate in Secret Santa on Facebook and at work and at school, we can give to the kingdom. Don't let I've prayed for them become a crutch or an excuse to not give into the kingdom. And lastly, I'll simply say this. Don't sell yourself short that you can only be a giver and that you may never be a goer. I know I'm making that word up, a goer. Givers and goers. It's what the gospel is based upon as far as how it's spread. The gospel needs both givers and goers, and you can be a goer if you feel a tug on your heart to go and spread the gospel. Talk to your pastor's wife. Ask her how you can be a blessing to a North American missionary church. Ask her how you can share this burden that you have to spread the gospel. If you're a minister's wife in this group, don't take for granted that God can and desires to call you to be a goer. I never would have dreamed in a million years that I'd be doing what I'm doing right now. But when you become a willing vessel, God will surprise you in the most beautiful of ways. God will surprise you in the most beautiful of ways. Someone thanked me on my Facebook post a couple of days ago on Sunday, I guess, for answering the call to this valley to come and plant a church here. And it's a lady in our church, and she said, thank you so much for answering your call to come to Las Vegas, because without my husband and I answering that call, her and her family wouldn't be in church where they are right now. There are people, there are souls, there's someone waiting on you to answer the tug that you feel at your heart. So pray about it this Christmas season. Pray about being a goer. Pray about being the one who spreads the best message anyone could ever hear. Go read Romans chapter 15, verses 14 through 33. Pray and do. Be a giver and a goer any which way you can find to do so. I love you all. I'll come to you tomorrow and finish up the book of Romans, and then we're heading into a fun December month of devotionals, and I'm looking forward to it. If no one's told you lately, you are loved, you are cherished, you have value, and many of you in here have a calling. You have worth, my sweet sister, and that worth is far above rubies. I love you all, and I'll see you all tomorrow. God bless you.